Okay, so get ready, because today we're diving into some pretty intense material.
Yeah.
It's a scientist's journal,
Yeah.
and it chronicles this scientist's decision to activate a weapon
Mm-hmm.
that could alter the entire world. But there's a cost,
Oh, wow.
and that cost is humanity itself.
Wow.
Now, these are excerpts, of course, but even the excerpts just paint this really vivid and kind of unsettling picture.
Right.
And I'm really curious to explore, the motivations behind the scientist's choice,
Yeah.
and to try to understand the themes that come up around human triumph and failure,
Mm-hmm.
and just to grapple with, the morality of it all.
Yeah, for sure.
And I definitely want to hear your thoughts along the way, too.
Absolutely.
Would you have made the same decision?
Well, you know what strikes me right away is just how, honestly, the journal portrays this world that's on the brink of collapse.
Yeah.
The scientist talks about these ravaged cities choked by firestorms and oceans that are just teeming with toxins.
Oh, well.
It's just a stark illustration of a planet that has been pushed to its absolute limit.
Yeah, reading about the scientist's trembling hand over the journal, I mean, I got chills just reading that.
Yeah,
You can almost feel their desperation.
for sure.
And it's not just some intellectual exercise, it's deeply emotional.
It is.
And it really makes you question, like, what ethical framework could possibly justify a decision this big?
That's a huge question, right?
Right.
It's fascinating to me how the scientist will go from those moments of despair and then immediately juxtapose them with these really vivid memories, like tranquil natural landscapes and these moments of human joy and connection.
Right.
It's like they're wrestling with the beauty that they're about to erase.
Yeah, it's like they're haunted by these ghosts of what we've created and what we've destroyed.
Yeah.
It really makes you think about humanity's legacy.
Absolutely. On one hand, you have the scientists reflecting on our incredible achievements, art, music, scientific advancements.
Mm-hmm.
We even ventured into space. But on the other hand, there's this stark recognition that we have these self-destructive tendencies.
Yeah.
Deforestation, the extinction of species wars fueled by greed.
Mm.
There's this one line that just really got to me. It says, "We devoured until there was nothing left."
Wow. Yeah, that line, "We devoured until there was nothing left."
That really hit me hard too.
Yeah.
And it makes me think about the weapon itself. Because it wasn't a tool of random annihilation, was it? It
Yeah.
feels more like this calculated reset.
Right.
It's designed for a very specific purpose.
Yeah, you're picking up on something really crucial there. The scientist describes the weapon as a tool of cleansing.
Mm.
It's something that's meant to eradicate the human footprint
Wow.
and allow the planet to heal.
So not some giant meteor just wiping out everything indiscriminately,
Right.
but something more targeted.
Exactly.
How did they even come up with such a thing?
Well, the journal hints at it,
Yeah.
They talk about harnessing these untapped energy sources and manipulating the fundamental forces of nature.
It even delves into these areas of science that are considered theoretical, or even like fringe science.
Mhm.
It's like they just push the boundaries of what we even thought was possible.
Hmm.
It really makes you wonder if we're closer to these kinds of technologies than we realize.
That's a chilling thought. And the irony isn't lost on the scientist either.
No, absolutely not.
They even acknowledge that, same ingenuity that has propelled humanity forward is now being used to bring about its end.
Right. And that leads to a question that kind of lingers throughout the journal, you know? Can this weapon really guarantee a peaceful future for Earth without humans? Or is this just another example of human hubris, thinking that we can control nature?
It's a really good question.
And it's a debate that I think reflects a lot of real-world concerns about geoengineering and the potential consequences of, unchecked technological advancement.
Right.
It's a lot to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is a question with no easy answers. But to really understand the scientist's perspective, I think we need to go a little deeper into how they envision this weapon actually working.
Yeah, because it's not just about, blowing everything up, is it? It's like they had this vision for what this cleansing would actually entail.
Exactly. The journal describes it as a kind of reset button for the planet. It targets the infrastructure and the systems that are responsible for, humanity's ecological footprint. But it does it without causing widespread destruction to the natural world itself.
Okay, so not wiping the slate completely clean,
Yeah.
but more like a targeted dismantling of the systems that have allowed us to exploit the planet.
Right.
Did they give any specifics? Like, how do you even tell the difference between human infrastructure and the natural world?
There's some really intriguing hints in there. The scientist talks about disrupting industrial processes, collapsing energy grids. Essentially, they wanted to sever the arteries of our modern world. They even talk about manipulating the flow of information, almost like they were trying to shut down the nervous system of human civilization.
That's that's both terrifying and fascinating.
It is.
Almost like they were performing surgery, but on a planetary scale.
Yeah. And they acknowledge the irony of it all, right?
Right.
That their creation, this weapon born from scientific ingenuity, is now being used to undo what humanity has done. There's a real deep sense of sorrow that comes through in those journal entries.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't read like some, supervillain who's trying to take over the world. It feels more like a confession,
Yeah.
From someone who was forced to make an impossible choice.
Yeah.
Did they ever explain how they actually built this thing? Like what kind of technology could do something this sophisticated?
Well, the specifics are kind of shrouded in this really dense scientific terminology that
Ugh.
even I have trouble understanding sometimes.
Yeah.
There's talk of harnessing zero-point energy, manipulating gravitational fields, even concepts that seem like they're straight out of science fiction.
Really?
It's like they ventured into realms of physics
Wow.
that we haven't even begun to explore as a species.
It makes me think about all the advancements that we're seeing
Mhm.
in fields like artificial intelligence, just a few decades ago. The idea of machines that could think and learn for themselves was pure fantasy.
Right.
But now it's becoming our reality.
It is.
What if this scientist's work is a glimpse into a future where our technology just completely outpaces our ethical understanding?
That's the core of it, isn't it? This journal forces us to confront that possibility.
Yeah.
That we might be capable of creating things that we're not mature enough to control as a species.
Yeah.
We tend to focus on the benefits of scientific progress, but this story reminds us that there can also be a very dark side to it.
Right. And the scientist seems to be grappling with that duality constantly.
They do.
They lament our capacity for greed and violence.
Mm-hmm.
But they also acknowledge our moments of brilliance and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem like they hate humanity.
Mm.
It's more like they mourn us.
Exactly, and that makes their decision even more poignant.
Okay.
Because they're not just wiping out a species that they despise, they're sacrificing a civilization
Yeah.
that they both admire and fear.
It's a really complex situation. It makes you wonder if there could have been any other solutions. Could we have steered ourselves away from this path without resorting to something so drastic?
That's the million-dollar question. And while the scientist's choice is fictional, of course, the challenges that we're facing are very real.
Yeah.
Climate change, deforestation, pollution, these are urgent problems that demand our attention.
Yeah, this deep dive has really highlighted how even in the realm of fiction, these issues can be explored in a way that makes us really think critically about our own actions and choices.
It does.
And not about preaching,
Isn't it true?
It's about encouraging reflection,
Right.
and maybe even offering a little bit of hope.
It's interesting to me, even as the scientist is making this decision, they still find a lot of solace in the beauty of nature. There are all these entries about a sunrise over a mountain, the way a hummingbird hovers.
Even just the sound of wind in the leaves. It's like they're clinging to these small wonders.
Yeah, I think those moments are really important because they highlight the scientist's connection to Earth and how much they value the Earth, even beyond, human existence. But they also provide this really stark contrast to the destroyed world that they describe elsewhere.
Right. It's like those beautiful moments make the decision even harder.
Yeah.
It's a constant reminder of what's about to be lost.
Exactly. And it shows how complex the scientist's emotions were.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely despair, but there's also this profound grief. They're not just ending humanity, they're losing a world that they clearly love.
And I keep thinking about that final message.
Yeah.
Where they put the journal in a time capsule.
Yeah.
And they leave that plea, do better than us, be kinder. It makes me wonder if that's their ultimate hope, that maybe someday some other civilization will learn from our mistakes.
I think it's more than just hope. I think it's a challenge. They're forcing us to look in the mirror, and ask ourselves, are we going to repeat this cycle of using and destroying? Or can we learn to coexist and actually be caretakers of the planet?
Yeah, that's a question that feels really relevant right now.
Absolutely.
We see the effects of our actions every day. Climate change, deforestation, pollution.
It's easy to get overwhelmed by it all.
It is.
But this journal, even with, its dark subject matter, I think it offers a glimmer of hope. The Earth can heal. if we give it the chance. And I think more importantly, it reminds us that we have the power to make different choices.
We're not just, along for the ride.
Yeah.
We can be agents of change.
We can. We can embrace sustainability. We can prioritize conservation. We can fight for environmental justice. And maybe, just maybe, we can avoid a future where we even have to think about such drastic measures.
Well, this deep dive into the Doomsday Journal has been quite the journey.
It has.
It's been unsettling and thought-provoking. But I think ultimately it's hopeful.
I agree.
It's a reminder that the future isn't set in stone. It's something that we create through our actions and our choices.
That's a good way to put it. So remember as you go about your day, remember that plea from the scientist, do better than us, be kinder. Let those words guide you, even in small ways, because even the smallest actions can make a difference.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep looking for those moments of beauty that remind us why we're fighting for a better future.